Hi, today we're going to introduce you to Alan Enzo, the founder and director of our platform, Permaculture Education. Let's dive into the interview.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Thank
So I'll start off with the questions. First, it'll be nice if you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found out about permaculture design.
you. Okay, I started my career in emergency management, dealing with train wrecks and oil spills and factory explosions and natural disasters. So I was, the first responder going to these locations and organizing a cleanup, working with the federal government, the local government, law enforcement, and emergency personnel to get the emergency handled, and then staying on to basically repair the earth afterwards in all of these disasters. And so that really got me passionate about uh, cleaning up the earth and earth repair and learning these techniques to repair ecosystems. Um, Now, I'm formally trained in finance and business and MBA in sustainable business, and also PhD in ecological economics and management. So during my studies in ecological economics, I found out about permaculture design, and I realized this is what I want to do for my life's work, because it fits right in with the earth repair, work that I was doing before.
Right.
Also, ecological economics. This is like helping to relocalize economics and decentralize that authority, instead of looking to, central markets and the international bankers for the start of the conversation about economics. We start at our back door. We start with local communities and what works for the homestead and the farm and the village, and we go from there out, and that makes a lot more sense. The word economics comes from the word home in Greek, so uh, this makes a lot more sense than the top-down economics that we are kind of suffering from today. And so adding into earth repair, and then kind of joining that with the self-reliance education and ecological economics is just amazing. So after some years, I teamed up with some of the original students and consultants that were trained by Bill Mollison, who started the whole permaculture design movement. I joined with them and started permaculture education, and that's at permacultureeducation.org, and been working with them to basically make accessible this kind of education to people worldwide, and to help clean up the earth and address some of these big problems that we have.
Okay, that's quite interesting. And what exactly is permaculture design and regenerative design? And if you could explain like a difference between the two.
Yeah, there's some for the past 40 years or so, people have been using interchangeably these terms: permaculture design, ecological design, and now regenerative design.
Right.
Because there's so many systems we see that need regeneration, that that term is being more used than in the past. So when we talk about permaculture design, it's my definition is it represents the most sensible ways of sustaining and enriching life without causing environmental or social degradation. So that we look at all the different systems, includes regenerative organic agriculture, natural gardening and farming, agroforestry, regenerative forestry, ecological restoration, environmental conservation. We get into aquaculture and regenerative earthworks. So that would be dams and swales and fixing the land so that it holds the water to feed farming systems and to provide clean water. We also are big into natural building and non-toxic architecture. And you as an architect, it's probably one of the things that interested you and,
Yeah, in the permaculture. It was my point.
So in addition to all of that, we also talk about regenerative or renewable energy systems and eco-village design, intentional community design, and the economics piece with local economic design. And so it's the whole system is about decentralization, relocalization of priorities. And that's one reason why you don't find permaculture design taught in the universities, because it involves all of these different areas, all these different disciplines. You couldn't possibly put it in just the School of Architecture or just the School of Business or just the School of Agriculture, because it includes, the whole design of the whole community, even up to the bioregion level. So we've had this decentralized group of instructors and teachers worldwide for over 40 years. And I think it's being taught in over 130 countries around the world. And it's important to find teachers who are qualified and teach the whole design system, not just the agriculture part or.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what do you say about sustainable design?
What about sustainable design?
Yeah, I mean, was like you mentioned, regenerative, ecology, and permaculture design. Where does sustainable design lie in that spectrum?
Well, sustainable design would be if you looked at continuum and you would start from degenerative systems, that would be like entropy. That would be systems falling apart, systems degrading, all the way up to have a definition of maybe green, which would be improving on that spectrum. And then we'd have sustainable right in the middle. And then we would go into regenerative at that level and up. And the end result would be syntropy. So syntropic would be, this is how, if nature was untouched by man, this is how it would work. Syntropy, you'd have every different species doing what is in their spirit to do without any interruption by anybody else. And they work together, they form relationships, they support each other, they form guilds, and they grow. And they grow in a manner which is undisturbed by man. Sort of like if you looked at the Garden of Eden, that would be syntropic, that would be syntropy. So that's the other end, which if you start with regenerative, you're healing systems, you're designing systems in a way that's natural, that works with nature. So that's what we're aiming for.
So would food forests lie in syntropic design then?
Food forest?
Yeah.
Yes, food forest would be, we have, people creating food forests and designing them in a way that is syntropic agriculture, which should just be more of a natural way of doing it.
Okay.
More of what a natural forest would look like.
Okay.
But you plan out, all the different layers of the forest, so that there's useful plants, that are useful to humans, food and medicine and stuff for building, but also things that are there just because they work together with the other plants and trees to support themselves and to increase the health of the soil and take care of water and things like that.
Understood. You mentioned ecological economics and intentional community design. Can you tell us about some of the projects you've worked on?
One of the big projects was I'm still working on in Asheville, North Carolina. There's 300 acres, and we're looking at maybe 600 living units.
Oh, wow.
Everything from just basic eco homes that are, less than 500 square feet, all the way up to allowing people to purchase a few acres and build according to natural building type designs. And in addition to that, me as the finance guy and business guy, I'm building in 20 different businesses into the community. Everything from yoga and massage places to food producers, cafes, natural medical personnel, Ayurvedic doctors.
Nice.
All of this geared towards a master plan community where it's multi-generational.
Yeah.
So the young people don't have to leave to find jobs. They can find jobs there supporting the elders, helping the elders. So, in some parts of the world, you still have a natural kind of system for taking care of the family and the elders. But here in the United States, that system is dead. And we have elders that are just, not being taken care of. They don't live with their families. They end up being put in a building somewhere, and just not a good system. So, with this intentional community design and eco villages, we're trying to not only set up systems where we can grow natural organic food for people and have it right at their back door, but also taking care of all generations on the same property, live and work opportunities on the same place, and that's more natural than the compartmentalized systems we have for local zoning and design that we do here, now. So
that must be quite interesting to work on. How much time does such a huge project take to execute, design, finally reach the execution point from conceptualization?
Well, since there's so many stakeholders and people involved, it takes a long time. Sometimes I've been on projects where we talk and plan and have meetings for years, and then everything falls apart because someone's fighting with someone else, or they were counting on getting all this money from one place and it didn't come.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Very disappointing. But, that's
the reality.
It's very difficult. It's not easy to just go start your own village because you end up with 20 or more people involved, and it's kind of like herding cats. Like, you have to get them all speaking together and have some way of governance, some way of managing conflict, some way of getting people to to talk with each other and get along, and share a common mission and vision. So it's not easy, but I've worked on small projects, which would be co-housing projects.
Okay.
So we purchase maybe 4 or 5 houses in a small area, get rid of all the fencing in the backyards and open up the middle and make it common areas, outdoor kitchens, places where, all the kids can play together, shared spaces for a garden where, people from each house can go and work in the garden independently and share everything that comes out of it. So I love the co-housing concept and work on that any chance I get. Plus, through teaching the courses of permaculture education, I've helped hundreds of people start small businesses and design farms and help them get these things off the ground, and thriving local enterprises and, helping build local living economies.
That must be satisfying now, having these smaller things that are also happening if you have such long-term projects that may or may not kind of happen. At least you have some wins on the way.
Yeah.
I think I have also learned everything and anything about permaculture because of the course only and because of the input that I kept getting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been in this space at all. So I can imagine how all other students must be also feeling, which is great of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much information. People say it's life-changing to,
It really is. And it's just not life changing in the professional sense. It just gives you so much light on every aspect of your life and it just shifts your perspective.
yeah, we've had people taking, a lot of people taking masters in sustainability courses that come and take the PDC course, and they say, this is what I thought I was going to learn in my master's in sustainability course, but instead it was all about recycling and very basic concepts that you would use in a corporate workplace, but not anywhere else. And so, yeah, that's why people are moving from using the term sustainable and into regenerative.
Right.
Yeah.
Next question. Given the many global challenges we are facing, from climate change and deforestation to chemical and GMO agriculture to economic downturns and natural disasters, what do you see as a starting point for finding solutions?
Well, we have the solutions, and the issue is that it's just a matter of getting wider acceptance and countering the narratives that are being provided by basically the wrong parties.
Right.
We're asking the wrong people for solutions. We ask the politicians and we ask these supranational organizations and centralized institutions for solutions.
Right.
And what people don't realize is some of those institutions are compromised. They are going to give solutions that, for instance, people want solutions for climate change, and the solutions that are being offered are market-based solutions. So that's just going to enrich Wall Street and the international bankers with the trading of carbon credits and things like that. But my PhD dissertation was based on looking at carbon credits and carbon trading in Europe and seeing how it worked over 20 years. And after 20 years of these different laws and initiatives coming into play, the emissions did not lower at all. And I had to ask questions like, why, after instituting carbon taxes and carbon trading, why didn't the emissions, reduce? You would expect pollution to get better. You would expect, greenhouse gas emissions to get better after all these. But what happens is the biggest polluters, they go to the government and say, hey, we're not going to do that. You're going to give us a pass because if you don't, we're going to take all of our 20,000 employees in your country and we're going to go somewhere else where they don't have these rules.
Yeah.
And so they say, okay, don't do that. You can stay. We just won't make you do it. We'll just make the small businesses do it.
Yeah.
And then so the small people are the ones that are hurting and having to deal with this. But the end result is there's no real change in emissions. And people who haven't looked at this as deeply as I have, they don't realize that you're asking the wrong people. You're asking the wrong, the wrong solutions are being provided. So what we really need is to focus on decentralization and relocalization of decision-making down to the local level, where decisions make sense for the local people and they don't hurt the local people, they help the local people. So, how many climate change meetings have we had in the UN? 27? How much positive change have you seen in your local area as a result? Not much. People say it's getting worse, right? So, how many free trade agreements have we had? Do you see local people getting any better off? Local farmers? No.
Yeah.
So we have to start these things at a local level. And Bill Mollison said, start at your back door. And the real solutions start at the local level.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I like to say is, know your neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
know your farmer, know your doctor, know your sheriff. If you we encourage people, go, meet your neighbor, go knock on their door, say hi, say, I have a bunch of tomatoes, and they say, oh, I have a bunch of zucchini. You trade, you support each other, you help each other, you form a relationship, and then in your time of need, they'll be there for you. You can support each other, and
Exactly.
there's not this intense need for everybody to go to the government to solve their problems, because you have community again. That's one of the things that's missing in the West, especially in the United States. We don't have community.
Right.
And so we need to rebuild this local, web of relationships.
Is there a way to shift the narrative of permaculture in a way that the government also supports it and like propagates it? Because that will just quicken the process, right?
Yes. I mean, a lot of the books I read, it gets very frustrating, because when you go to you read, 90 pages about all the problems that we all know about. And then you get to the end of the book and it starts talking about solutions, and they say, we need to ask our politicians to do this and do this, and it's like, oh, I thought you were going to tell us some good stuff. I thought you were going to, and then, oh, we just need to ask the politicians to fix it for us. No. We need to, start growing our own food, start creating our own energy, start supporting local businesses, defund, these mega chains and mega stores and mega marts.
Right.
Don't let them take any of your tax dollars, and support local credit unions and local banks. Organize reform of these local zoning and codes so that self-reliance is not outlawed. Like, you can grow your own food in your yard. You can do things that you can rainwater harvest, things like that. You can have some chickens. These things are vital for moving back to sanity in the way humans are living on the earth. And use land trusts and things like conservation trusts to keep forested areas away from people who would buy it and cut them all down and sell them.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things you can do, and that's what we are teaching in our work.
Okay. And if anybody wants to know a little bit more about your work, get in touch with you, is there a way they can do that?
I would recommend learn permaculture design, whether it's from us at Permaculture Education or another place. Make sure that they're teaching the full design course and not just the gardening part, because there are some people out there that are just teaching the gardening part. You want the full design process, a 72-hour course. And for reaching us, it would be permacultureeducation.org. And in addition to teaching, I do offer some private consulting and love to help people with, starting their own small farms and businesses and working to design retirement communities. And local economic design is one of the things I'm really passionate about. So get on our list for emails from our website, and we'll be sending out lots of different communication. We have social media as well. And look into permaculture design, because a lot of the solutions, from wildfires to all the environmental problems, flooding, drought, a lot of that can be addressed through the systems and solutions that we have.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for watching.